It's only a chair. Stand in the corner. Stop being so dramatic. My father says this in front of 53 guests 6 weeks after my ankle reconstruction, at a party I planned, decorated, and funded down to the final centerpiece. I'm standing there in a walking boot in the navy dress I chose 3 days earlier, propped on one crutch, watching a stranger ease into my seat. She's been dating my brother for 2 weeks. What my parents don't realize is that 3 days before, I uncovered something about my bank account, something that turns a mere chair into the smallest of their worries. By the end of this night, I won't be the one left standing in the corner. Before I continue, if this story truly resonates with you, please like and subscribe, and drop your location and local time in the comments. I love seeing where everyone's tuning in from. My name is Andine. I'm 34, an event planner in Ridgemont, Pennsylvania. Now, let me take you back 6 weeks earlier to the afternoon when everything began to fracture. The floor at Harrove Estate is slick from overnight rain. I'm measuring the tent footprint for a June wedding, my largest contract of the year. One step down the stone stairs by the garden terrace, and my left foot slips out as if the ground yanked away. I hear the snap before the pain ends. Then the pain arrives. Compound fracture, left ankle. The orthopedic surgeon repeats reconstructive repair 3 times in the consultation. Each mention brings a bigger figure. Surgery, 8 weeks non-weight bearing, 3 to 6 months of physical therapy. My livelihood relies on being on my feet 10 to 12 hours a day, scouting venues, overseeing setups, dashing across ballrooms when the florist brings the wrong shade of white. From the recovery room, still thick-tongued from anesthesia, I call my mother. Maureen Finch listens for roughly 12 seconds. "So you can still handle our anniversary party, right?" she asks. It's 6 weeks away. Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "Do you need anything?" Not even, "That must hurt." Just the party, their 40th. "Yeah, Mom, I can still do the party." "Good, your father's really looking forward to it." She hangs up. I stare at the ceiling tiles, still hazy, legs numb from the waist down. The nurse arrives to check my IV. Rachel Voss, my colleague, my dearest friend, is the only one in the visitor's chair. She drove me to the hospital. She handled the insurance call. No family member shows up. Not that afternoon, not the next day, not once throughout my recovery. Rachel brings soup on day 3. My mother texts on day 5. "Don't forget, the caterer needs the final head count by the 20th. Here's the reality of being the responsible child. No one ever questions how you became that way. They simply assume it, like gravity or the seasons. 3 years ago, my parents fell 3 months behind on condo rent. Gerald, my father, had just lost his job at the paper mill outside Ridgemont. Maureen has never held a paid position in her life. The landlord served eviction papers on Tuesday. By Friday, I purchased the condo outright, $87,000 from my savings. I added my name to the deed and set rent at $400 a month. Market rate, $1,400. I also opened a joint savings account in my name and Gerald for true emergencies, seeding it with $22,000, my physical therapy fund, my safety net. In 3 years, they've paid rent on time exactly 0 months out of 36. Every emergency withdrawal has gone to one destination, my brother Brent. His car repairs, speeding tickets, bail after his second DUI. Last month, Maureen called needing $3,200. She said, "The water heater died, will freeze." I transferred it within the hour. 2 weeks later, Gerald casually mentions the water heater has been fine all winter. Where did the $3,200 go? I begin to wonder, but I'm in a walking boot, orchestrating a party from my couch, ankle propped on 3 pillows. I lack the energy to pursue it. Not yet. I ask Rachel, an accountant, to glance at the statements when she has a moment. She's meticulous. "Of course," she says, "but Andine, promise me you'll actually review whatever I uncover." At that stage, I still don't grasp how much they've already taken. The full amount won't emerge until 3 days before the party. Let me tell you about Brent. My brother is 38 and has never kept a job longer than 6 months. Fired from a warehouse, a car wash, a landscaping crew, a restaurant, 11 days before the manager caught him stealing a coworker's tips. 2 DUIs, debts to at least 3 people I know of, likely more I don't. He plays online poker the way others breathe, constantly, thoughtlessly. He's also been my mother's favorite from the moment he was born. That isn't bitterness, it's simply fact, the way February in Pennsylvania is cold. Whenever Brent destroys something, a car, a relationship, a lease, Maureen calls me with the same script. He's your brother, family helps family. And I help every time, because the alternative is 45 minutes of her sobbing on the phone about how no one else cares about this family except me. Meanwhile, I built a business from scratch. Weddings, corporate events, fundraisers. I have clients. I have a reputation. When the Rotary Club sought a gala last year, they chose me. When I mentioned the $15,000 contract, my largest single booking, my mother said, "That's nice. Could you send Brent $200? He's short on groceries." I sent it that night. I never mentioned the Rotary Gala again. Brent is currently crashing on a friend's couch in Wilkes-Barre. He's been evicted from 4 apartments. He phones his mother weekly. She assures him everything will be fine. She tells me to handle it. Rachel calls one Wednesday evening, her voice soft and deliberate, the tone reserved for delivering difficult news. "We need to talk about your savings account. Call me when you can. It's not good." I don't return her call that night. Instead, I spend 3 hours perfecting the seating chart for my parents' anniversary dinner. 8 at the head table. Mom, Dad, me, Brent, Aunt Donna, Uncle Ray, Great Aunt Ruth, Cousin Ellen. 53 total across 7 tables at the VFW Hall on Maple Street. I designed the centerpieces myself. White hydrangeas with eucalyptus, small framed photos from my parents' wedding day. I ordered a 3-tier cake from Martinelli's Bakery, booked the caterer, selected the menu, chicken piccata or prime rib, garden salad, roasted potatoes. I printed invitations on cream linen cardstock. Total cost $6,500. Every cent mine. My parents haven't paid a single dime. Every day, Maureen calls with fresh demands. Never a word about my ankle. Never, "How's the healing?" Only directives. Change the font on the place cards, add the Lombardis, your father just remembered them. No salmon, switch to prime rib. I make every adjustment. I tell myself this is the final grand gesture I'll ever make for them. The last one. After the party, I'll draw boundaries, step away, begin again. I practice moving in the boot around my apartment. Left foot, crutch, right foot. The physical therapist assures me the reconstruction is stable, but I must remain non-weight-bearing for another 2 weeks. My plan is simple. Sit through the entire dinner. That's precisely why I placed myself at the head table, so I wouldn't have to stand or move. Thursday morning, I finally call Rachel. She doesn't soften the blow. "They've withdrawn $18,000 from your joint account," she says. 4 separate transactions over 2 months, all signed by your father. My chest turns to ice. I had convinced myself the party would be the last big thing I'd do for them. I had no idea how prophetic those words would prove. Rachel reads the dates and amounts aloud. I perch on the edge of my bed, phone on speaker, staring at the walking boot as though it's the only solid object left in the world. March 2nd, $4,800. March 14th, $4,200. March 29th, $5,000. April 8th, $4,000. $18,000 total, my entire physical therapy reserve. "Rachel," I whisper, "I designated that account for emergencies only. I added Gerald in case something happened to me, a car accident, a long hospital stay. That's all." "I know," she replies softly. I phoned the bank. The branch manager confirms the records. Every withdrawal bears Gerald Finch's signature, fully authorized. No dispute process exists. No fraud claim is possible. Joint access was designed for exactly this. I ask Rachel to trace the outflows. She locates matches in under an hour. The $4,200 on March 14th went straight to Ridgemont Pawn and Trade, the very day Brent's truck was repossessed for unpaid loans. Another payment aligns perfectly with the Lern County Clerk of Courts, Brent's second DUI fine. $18,000, 6 months of targeted physical therapy. My insurance covered the surgery, but not the full rehabilitation. Without the specialist program Dr. Henley explicitly prescribed, $3,000 per month for 6 months, the likelihood of complete recovery plummets. A poorly healed ankle means a permanent limp. A limp means I can't oversee venue setups on concrete, grass, gravel for 10 or 12 hours at a time. No setups, no contracts. No contracts, no business. 12 years of work erased. I'm finished. Andine, Rachel says quietly, this isn't an error. This is a pattern. I let those words settle long after we hang up. Then I open my laptop and pull up the condo lease. Renewal date April 30th, 45 days away. I haven't signed the extension. I print the non-renewal notice and set it aside. That night, I sit alone in my apartment. The walking boot rests on a pillow. The unsigned non-renewal form lies on the kitchen table beside the account statement, every withdrawal highlighted in yellow. I run the numbers again. Without the $18,000, no outpatient therapy, insurance won't bridge the gap. I can manage basic home exercises, but the specialized protocol costs thousands I no longer have. A compromised ankle ends my career on its feet. If I stay silent, if I absorb this theft the way I've absorbed every prior withdrawal, every fabricated emergency, every lie about a water heater that never failed, my father will continue taking. There's still $7,000 left in that account. Brent will keep gambling, Maureen will keep calling, I'll keep subsidizing their condo, their son's disasters, their entire existence until nothing remains of me. Or I can choose the non-renewal form. 30 days of notice, lawful, clean. My right as owner, not an eviction, simply the end of a lease violated 35 months out of 36. I lift the pen, then set it down. Not yet. I need to hear their explanation first. I need to offer them one chance at honesty. The next morning, Sunday, 3 days before the party, I make the call. I wasn't prepared, but I fold the non-renewal notice into thirds and slip it into my clutch anyway. Mom, I need to ask about the savings account. 3 seconds of silence. I count them. What about it? Maureen asks. $18,000 is gone. 4 withdrawals. Gerald signed every one. Another pause. Then her voice shifts, smooth, measured, the same practiced tone she uses when explaining to neighbors why Brent still isn't employed. Your father and I borrowed it. We intended to tell you. It's been 2 months, Mom. We've been occupied with the party. Where did the money go? Bills? The water heater replacement? You know how costly everything is right now. Your father already told you the water heater's been fine. Silence. And the $4,200 to Ridgemont Pawn and Trade? The composure cracks. No more polish. Are you spying on us now? Is that how we raised you? I keep my voice steady. I'm reading my own bank statement, Mom. That money was earmarked for family emergencies. Brent needed help. Brent always needs help. He's your brother. Gerald's voice drifts in from the background. He's on speaker. Your mother's right. We'll pay it back. Let's not spoil the party over this. Pay it back how, Dad? You're on a pension. Mom doesn't work. We'll figure it out. We always do. They always do, which has always meant I do. I tell them I have to go. Maureen delivers one final line before I end the call, her voice hard and final, like a latch clicking shut. And don't you dare mention this at the party. You'll humiliate the entire family. I stare at the phone for a long moment. Then I open my clutch, remove the non-renewal form, and sign it. The VFW hall on Maple Street is precisely as I envisioned. White tablecloths, hydrangea and eucalyptus centerpieces, the banner across the far wall reading 40 Years of Love. String lights bathe the hardwood in warm amber. I arranged every detail from my couch, broken ankle elevated, laptop balanced on my lap. I arrived at 6:15, 15 minutes before guests. walking boot, crutch beneath my right arm, navy cocktail dress, hair swept into a neat twist, small pearl earrings. My clutch is tucked under my left arm. Inside, the signed non-renewal notice folded into thirds, the bank statement, 4 withdrawals highlighted in yellow. I sealed it that morning and haven't reopened it. Everything I might need is right here. The hall fills rapidly. Uncle Ray and Aunt Donna arrived first, followed by the Lombardis, then Great Aunt Ruthie, 78, cane in hand, still the sharpest mind present. Cousin Ellen, Donna's daughter, 30, in a green wrap dress, spots me near the entrance and hurries over. She hugs me tightly. "You look great. Mom was worried about you." "Worried how?" Ellen hesitates, glances toward the head table where Maureen is smoothing a napkin. "Just worried." I let it pass for now. I scan the head table, 8 place cards exactly as planned. My seat is at the far end, beside Aunt Donna, close enough to belong, far enough that I won't need to rise. Maureen and Gerald already occupy the center, greeting arrivals with identical smiles. They haven't glanced my way once. I sit down. My ankle throbs the instant I ease my weight down. But I'm seated. That's what counts, or so I believe. 10 minutes later, Ellen returns. She slips into Uncle Ray's chair, he's at the bar, and leans in close. "Okay, I need to tell you something," she says, "and I don't want you to get upset." That's never an encouraging opener. "Your mom told my mom you've been taking a lot of painkillers since the surgery. Like, a lot." I set my water glass down carefully. "What exactly did she say?" "She said you were dependent, that you haven't been yourself, that you might, her words, cause a scene tonight." I glance across the room at Marin. She's laughing with Gerald's cousin, one hand resting lightly on his arm. The picture of warmth, the flawless hostess at an event she didn't plan, didn't fund, and didn't organize in the slightest. Now the sideways glances make sense. When I arrived, 2 of my father's aunts looked at me oddly, then quickly averted their eyes. I assumed it was the boot. It wasn't the boot. Marin crafted the narrative before I even stepped inside. If I mention the money tonight, the account, any of it, the story is already written. Medicated, unstable, difficult daughter. Poor Marin, burdened with such a troubled child. She didn't merely take my money, she stripped away my credibility before I crossed the threshold. I meet Ellen's gaze. I stopped taking painkillers 2 weeks after surgery. I'm on over-the-counter ibuprofen, that's all. "I believe you," Ellen says. "I just thought you should know." "Thank you." She squeezes my hand and returns to her seat. Aunt Donna settles beside me, reading glasses perched on her nose. She pats my arm without speaking. I rest my hand on the clutch in my lap. The zipper remains closed, but something within me has cracked open. Brent arrives 40 minutes late. He strides in wearing a wrinkled dress shirt, top button undone, no tie. Trailing him is a woman I've never met. Blonde, late 20s, floral sundress, visibly uneasy among strangers. She clings to his arm as though she might flee. Marin rises from the head table like she's welcoming a conquering hero. "Oh, Brent, you brought someone. How wonderful." She hugs him. She hugs the woman. She beams. "Everyone, this is Tiffany, Brent's girlfriend." Tiffany offers a small wave. A few polite smiles ripple through the room. Great Aunt Ruthie squints at her, then at Brent, then back at Tiffany, solving an unspoken equation. The math is straightforward. Head table, 8 chairs, 8 people already seated, no space for a 9th. Marin solves it fastest. She turns to me with that particular smile, the one she reserved when she's about to ask me to disappear. "Honey, can you let Tiffany sit here? She's our guest." "Mom, I just had surgery. I can't stand for 3 hours." Her smile holds steady. "There are chairs by the wall. You can sit over there." Over there, 15 feet away, a lone folding chair against the cinder block wall, removed from the head table, from family, from the dinner I financed. Mom, I organized this entire event. I'm sitting at this table. Marin's jaw tightens. She leans closer, voice lowered, but not low enough. Half the table hears. Don't make this difficult. She's a guest, your family. As though family means I'm always the one who yields. I look past her to Gerald. He watches, fork poised, unmoving. I wait for my father to intervene. Gerald sets his fork down. He daubs the corner of his mouth with a napkin. Then he rises slowly, the deliberate motion he uses when he wants the room to feel his authority. Andine, he says, not softly. It's just a chair. You can stand in the corner. Don't be dramatic. The room freezes. I hear ice clink in a glass 3 tables away. The caterer halts mid-step near the kitchen door. 53 people, and no one is chewing. Brent leans against the wall behind Tiffany's new chair. He shrugs. Yeah, it's not that deep. Tiffany stares at the tablecloth, sensing a gravity she doesn't yet grasp. From the far end of the table, Great Aunt Ruthie speaks. Her voice carries, clear and unyielding as always. That girl just had surgery. Gerald, what's the matter with you? Gerald doesn't glance at her. He watches me, waiting. I look down at my walking boot, the Velcro straps, the rigid plastic shell cradling my ankle. 6 weeks of healing, 6 weeks of planning this party from a couch. I stand. It requires effort. The crutch snags on the chair leg. My ankle protests sharply as weight shifts. Aunt Donna half rises to assist, but I shake my head. I can manage alone. My clutch slips from my lap as I push back. It falls open just enough, a glimpse of white paper inside. Aunt Donna notices. She says nothing. I retrieve it, close it, tuck it under my arm. Tiffany takes my chair without meeting my eyes. Gerald smooths his napkin. See? No big deal. Let's enjoy the evening. No big deal. The summary of my entire existence in this family. The corner feels as cold as it appears. I lean against the cinder block wall beside the emergency exit. Crutch under my right arm. My left ankle throbs with a deep, steady ache, the kind the surgeon cautioned against. Don't stand for extended periods. The hardware is still settling. From here, I have an unobstructed view of the head table, my hydrangea and eucalyptus centerpiece, my place card and the calligraphy I selected, now shoved aside for Tiffany's plate. Marin pours wine, Gerald carves into prime rib, Brent gestures animatedly, telling a story, grinning at something I can't hear. No one brings me a chair. No one offers a seat. No one approaches. The caterer, Janet, whose company I've booked for 4 events this year, passes with a tray. She stops, frowns. Miss Finch, why are you standing? Let me get you a... I'm fine, Janet, thank you. She hesitates, then continues, glancing back once. 2 minutes later, Aunt Donna appears beside me, plate in hand, as though she simply wandered over, but I know Donna. Nothing she does is by chance. This isn't right, she says quietly, and you know it. I know. What are you going to do? I glance at the clutch under my arm, the document inside, the signature I added the morning after my mother warned me not to embarrass her. I haven't decided yet. Donna studies me for a long moment. Then she says something I'll carry for years. I've watched your mother do this for 30 years. You don't owe her a corner. She returns to her seat. I remain standing, but not for much longer. A glass clinks. The room quiets. Marin rises at the head table, one hand pressed to her chest, as though delivering a eulogy. Her eyes already shimmer, a talent honed over decades. I just want to say a few words, she begins. 40 years with this man, 40 years of building a family, a home, a life. She looks at Gerald. He nods, the model husband. We've been blessed with 2 wonderful children, Brent, who's finding his way, and who brought this lovely young woman into our lives tonight. Tiffany, welcome to the family. Tiffany smiles nervously. Brent squeezes her shoulder. I wait. And of course, our friends and family who came out tonight. We're so grateful. That's it. She's finished. From the far end of the table, Great Aunt Ruthie's voice slices through the applause. "Marin, aren't you going to thank Andine? She put this whole thing together." Several heads turn toward the corner where I stand. Marin blinks. Her smile adjusts. "Oh, of course. And helped, too." Helped. Helped like I brought a side dish, like I arrived early to fold napkins. Not like I spent 6 weeks orchestrating every detail from a hospital bed. Helped. I tighten the grip on the clutch. In that instant, the decision crystallizes. Not from rage, from clarity. I stood listening to my mother thank every person in the room except the one who made the room possible. And I thought, have you ever been the invisible one, the one who pays, who plans, who shows up but is never acknowledged? If you've ever stood in that corner, literally or figuratively, tell me in the comments. What was your last straw? I'd genuinely love to hear it. Brent finds me by the wall 10 minutes later. He's holding a beer, his third, judging by the loose sway, and wearing the look of someone who thinks he's doing me a kindness. "Don't take it personally, sis." He says it loud enough for the two couples at the nearest table to overhear. "Mom just wants everything perfect tonight." "I organized everything tonight, Brent." He grins, that familiar grin that dismisses anything I do as too trivial to matter. "Yeah, well, that's kind of your thing, right? Planning parties." My thing, as though it's a pastime, not a business with a license, a client list, and a tax ID. I don't reply. He takes a long swig, pleased with himself, and starts drifting back toward the head table. He doesn't reach it. Tiffany intercepts him halfway. She clutches her purse strap in both hands, twisting it nervously. "Tiffany," she says, "can I talk to you for a second?" He waves her off. "Not now, babe." She ignores him. Instead, she walks straight to me. Her voice is quiet, hesitant. "Hey, I didn't know there weren't enough chairs. Brent told me you offered to switch. He said you were fine with it." I look at Brent. He's frozen mid-stride, beer halfway to his lips. "I didn't offer anything," I tell Tiffany. "But it's not your fault." She stares at me, then turns to Brent. Something shifts in her expression, realization locking into place. "You told me she was cool about it," she says. Brent shrugs. "Can we not do this right now?" But the two couples at the nearest table heard every word. One woman glances at her husband. He lifts an eyebrow. The cracks are appearing, not just in my family, in the carefully constructed story Maureen spun around it. Dinner service begins. Plates of chicken piccata and prime rib glide from the kitchen in steady waves. Rosemary scents the air. I'm still standing. No chair, no place setting, no plate. The caterer didn't prepare one for the wall. Why would she? I was supposed to be at the head table. Aunt Donna notices. She rises, takes her own plate, and carries it over with a fork and knife wrapped in a napkin. "Here, eat something." Maureen spots this from across the room. She's on her feet instantly, threading between tables with the practiced ease of someone accustomed to commanding every space she enters. "Donna, don't encourage her." She says it loud enough for half the hall to hear. She's making a scene standing there looking miserable. She could sit at the kids' table if she really wanted to. The kids' table. I'm 34. I own the building my parents live in. I run a business. And my mother just announced to a room of relatives that I belong with the 8-year-olds. Aunt Donna doesn't waver. "Maureen, she has a broken ankle." It's not broken. She exaggerates everything. "It was surgically reconstructed 6 weeks ago." "She's walking, isn't she? It can't be that bad." From the head table, Gerald's voice cuts in. "Can we please just eat?" That sentence, tired, dismissive, conversation closing, the verbal equivalent of pulling a blanket over his head. I set Donna's plate on the nearest table. I look at the head table, at the banner, at my centerpieces, at the $6,500 evening that has never been about me. I open my clutch. For the first time tonight, I reach inside. My fingers brush the crisp edge of the paper, folded in thirds. The bank statement waits beneath it, clipped to a second copy. I don't pull them out yet. I stand there, clutch open, and scan the room one final time. The centerpieces I selected at 6 a.m., one-handed, scrolling a wholesaler's site while my ankle throbbed. The tablecloths I chose, white, not ivory, after Maureen changed her mind 3 times. The string lights I tracked down from 4 vendors because the first 3 were out of stock. $6,500, and she said I helped. I look at the head table. My mother's wine glass half empty, my father's clean plate, Brent's third beer, Tiffany in my seat, napkin barely touched, looking as though she wants to vanish. I think about the joint account, the void where $18,000 once sat. I think about Dr. Henley's serious, precise face, explaining the rehab program. This is the line between full recovery and permanent limitation. I think about my ankle, my career. Every morning I'll wake to feel the damage my parents financed with my own money so their son could gamble and drive drunk. If I sit back down, wherever they place me, in whatever corner they assign, I will sign that renewal in 45 days, and nothing will ever change. I draw the papers from the clutch, still folded, not yet opened. I step toward the head table. The crutch taps the hardwood once, twice, 3 times. Aunt Donna watches me go. She doesn't intervene. I didn't prepare a speech. I didn't rehearse. I simply know that if I return to their corner, I will never stand up for myself again. The crutch sounds like a metronome on the worn floor. Tap, tap, tap. Guests near the center aisle pause mid-bite. Forks hover, heads turn. I pass the Lombardi's table. Mrs. Lombardi nudges her husband. He sets down his wine glass. I pass Great Aunt Ruthie. She watches with eyes that have witnessed 60 years of Finch family nonsense and looks like she's been waiting for this precise moment. I stop behind Gerald's chair, close enough to see the embroidered monogram on his shirt pocket, the shirt I bought him last Christmas. Maureen looks up. Her face cycles through surprise, annoyance, fear in under a second. Andine. Her voice is a whisper straining to become a command. Sit down, not here. I've been standing for an hour, on a reconstructed ankle. I think I've earned the right to say something. Gerald turns in his chair. This is not the time. When is the time, Dad? He blinks. Because I called 3 days ago and you told me to drop it. You said we'd talk after the party. No, you said, and I'll quote you, don't ruin your mother's night. The same night you're wearing a suit I bought you, eating food I paid for, at a party I organized. The hall falls silent, not the gentle pause between toasts, but the heavy electric hush of 53 people realizing something irreversible is about to unfold. I place the folded papers on the table between Gerald's water glass and Maureen's wine. The white rectangle rests there like a held breath. I'm not here to ruin your party, I say. I'm here to stop ruining myself. No one moves. No one speaks. I unfold the first page. Mom, Dad. I keep my tone even, conversational, as though confirming a catering detail. The condo you live in, who owns it? Gerald's mouth opens, closes. What does that have to do with who owns it? Silence. Maureen's fingers tighten around her wine glass stem. From 2 seats away, Great Aunt Ruthie speaks first. I thought you 2 owned it. They don't. I look at Ruthie as I say it, then back to the table. I bought it 3 years ago when they were 3 months behind rent and facing eviction. I own the property. They pay me $400 a month. Market rate is $1,400. Whispers ripple outward immediately, low, scattered, like wind through dry leaves. Uncle Ray leans forward. Cousin Ellen's eyes widen. A woman I scarcely recognize at table 6 turns to her husband and mouths something. Maureen's hand lifts from the table. Andine, you're making this sound... I'm stating facts, Mom. I tap the paper on the table. This is a 30-day non-renewal notice. Your lease expires April 30th. I'm choosing not to renew it. Gerald picks up the paper. His face doesn't flush red with anger. It drains white. The pallor of a man who suddenly understands the ground beneath him has always belonged to someone else. "You can't do this," Maureen says. Her voice splinters on the final word. "It's my property. You've been late on rent 11 out of 36 months. That's a lease violation." Gerald sets the paper down. His hand trembles. "I haven't raised my voice once. I don't intend to. The facts speak loudly enough. But I'm not finished." I say, "There's something else." And I reach for the second document. The bank statement is a single page, 4 lines highlighted in yellow. I lay it flat on the table so Gerald and Maureen can both see it clearly. And I don't whisper. 6 weeks ago, I underwent ankle reconstruction surgery. The $18,000 I'd saved for physical therapy sat in a joint account intended strictly for emergencies. Dad withdrew every cent. 4 transactions across 2 months. The room holds its breath. Gerald stares at the yellow highlights. He doesn't touch the paper. "We were going to pay it back." "Where did it go, Dad?" "Nothing." I turn to Brent. He's leaned back, arms crossed, jaw clenched. For the first time tonight, the grin is gone. "It went to Brent's gambling debts," I say, "his DUI fines, and a pawn shop on Route 9. Brent's chair scrapes harshly against the floor as he stands. You don't know what you're talking about." $4,200 to Ridgemont Pawn and Trade, March 14th, the exact day your truck was repossessed. He sinks back down slowly, as though the air has leaked out of him. The whispers in the hall grow louder. Not whispers anymore. Low voices, sharp breaths, chairs creaking as people lean forward. At table 4, a woman presses her hand to her mouth. Uncle Ray stares at Gerald with an expression I've never seen on his face before. Tiffany looks at Brent, then at me, then back at Brent. Recognition settles across her features. Not fury, but the quiet dawning of someone beginning to see the outline of the lie she's standing inside. From the end of the head table, Aunt Donna rises. Her voice carries clearly through the stillness. "Maureen, is this true? You took her surgery money?" Maureen stands. The tears arrive instantly, perfectly timed, on cue. She presses a napkin to her face and draws a trembling breath. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," she says, voice quivering. "Andine has been under so much stress, the painkillers after her surgery. She hasn't been herself." I let the accusation settle. Let the room feel its weight. Then I answer. "I'm not on painkillers, Mom. I stopped 2 weeks after surgery. Ibuprofen only. Dr. Henley can confirm it." Maureen shakes her head, tears streaming. "You're confused, sweetheart. You don't even realize." "Wait." Cousin Ellen stands now. Her green wrap dress catches the light as she steps forward. "Aunt Maureen, you told my mom that Andine was addicted to pills. Those were your exact words. You said she was out of control." A ripple spreads through the hall. "Hello?" someone murmurs near table 3. Great Aunt Ruthie sets her cane down with a deliberate click. Maureen pivots. "I never said addicted, I said dependent. There's a difference." "No, Maureen." Aunt Donna's voice is level, unyielding, the tone of an older sister who has reached her limit. "You told me she was out of control. You said it on the phone last Tuesday. I wrote it down because I didn't believe you. Now I know why." The napkin falls from Maureen's face. Her face, still wet, flushes, not from grief, but from the sudden collapse of the safety net she wove to shield herself. The story she built to preserve appearances has just unraveled before the very people she needed to impress. "You're all taking her side," she cries, voice rising, "after everything I've done for this family?" No one responds. The silence answers for them. Gerald stands. He raises both hands, palms outward, the universal sign of a man who still believes he can steady the room by projecting calm. "Everyone, please, this is a family matter. Let's handle it privately." "You had your chance to handle it privately, Dad." My voice remains even. 3 days ago, you told me to drop it. You said we'd discuss it after. No, you said, don't ruin your mother's night.
The same night you're wearing a suit I bought you, eating a meal I paid for, in a hall I decorated. I'm done being private about the people who robbed me." Great Aunt Ruthie raps her cane once on the floor. The sound slices clean through the tension. "Gerald, did you take that girl's money or not?" He looks down at the table, at the bank statement, at the yellow highlights. He doesn't answer. Ruthie nods slowly. "That's all I need to hear." Brent shoves his chair back. "This is insane. She's being dramatic. She's always dramatic." Then a quiet voice from his right. "Tiffany." Brent. She isn't looking at him. She's staring at the tablecloth. "You told me she offered her chair. You said she was fine with it." "Tiffany, stay out of—" "Wasn't true, was it?" He doesn't answer. Silence seems to run in the family. Tiffany lifts her purse from the back of my chair and stands. She doesn't say goodbye to Brent. She doesn't speak at all. She simply walks to the far end of the hall and sits beside Great Aunt Ruthie, who pats her hand once, wordlessly. The head table now has an empty seat. The irony registers clearly. I point to the non-renewal notice still resting in front of Gerald. "That is a 30-day non-renewal. Your lease expires April 30th. I won't be renewing it. You have 30 days to find a new place." Maureen clutches the edge of the table. "You can't throw us out. We're your parents." "I'm not throwing you out. I'm declining to renew a lease that's been chronically violated. Late rent 11 months out of 36, unauthorized access to my finances, and $18,000 withdrawn without my knowledge or consent." "Where are we supposed to go?" Gerald asks. His voice has shrunk, smaller than I've ever heard it. "That's not my problem anymore, Dad. I've been solving your problems for 10 years. I'm done." The words emerge clean, no tremor, no tears. Not because the pain is absent, I feel it deeply, but because the pain is old, 10 years old. I've simply carried it in silence until tonight. "One more thing," I say. "I called the bank this morning. Gerald, your name has been removed from the joint account. Any further withdrawals will require my authorization only." Gerald looks at me. Maureen looks at the room looks at me. I gather the bank statement and the non-renewal notice, fold them carefully, and return them to the clutch. I paid for this party, the venue, the catering, the flowers, the cake. I paid for your condo. I paid for Brent's fines, Brent's debts, Brent's mistakes. The only thing I'm no longer paying for is my own silence. I snap the clutch shut. The small metallic click rings in the hushed room like a door sealing, and perhaps it is. Aunt Donna stands first. She has waited with the patience of someone who has anticipated this moment for a very long time. "I'm ashamed I didn't speak up sooner. You've been using this girl since she was 24, and I watched. That's on me." Great Aunt Ruthie lifts her cane an inch and lets it fall, her version of a gavel. "Gerald, I'm calling your brother Harold tomorrow. He needs to know exactly what you've done with that money." Brent pushes away from the table. He says nothing. He snatches his jacket from the chair back and strides toward the exit without looking at anyone. Tiffany does not follow. She remains seated beside Ruthie, hands folded in her lap, perfectly still. Maureen is crying now, not the calculated tears from earlier. These are raw, ragged, the sound of someone whose script has been ripped apart. "You're destroying this family." "No, Mom, I'm leaving it. There's a difference." Across the hall, people are rising, murmuring, reaching for coats. Uncle Ray shakes his head slowly. 2 of Gerald's former mill co-workers quietly gather their wives and head for the door. But a few move toward me. Gerald's cousin Frank, a neighbor from Elm Street. They rest a hand on my shoulder. A brief squeeze. Words aren't necessary. Gerald remains seated at the head of a table that no longer feels like the head of anything, staring at the folded paper before him. "You can cry, Mom, but you can't rewrite what happened. Not tonight." I collect my crutch, tuck the clutch under my arm, and walk toward the door. The walk takes longer than it should. The boot, the crutch, the hardwood floor I spent 2 phone calls securing because Maureen insisted on real wood, not that rubber nonsense. Each step echoes. No one stops me. Aunt Donna catches up near the exit. She's carrying her coat and purse, as though she had already decided to leave the moment I did.
You need a ride? Rachel's outside. Donna nods. Call me tomorrow. I mean it. I will. She hugs me carefully, mindful of the crutch, one hand cradling the back of my head, the kind of hug my mother used to give when I was very small, before she sorted which child was useful and which one was lovable. I push through the double doors into the parking lot. The air strikes my face, cold, crisp, late April in Pennsylvania. The sky is clear, dark, and scattered with stars indifferent to anniversary parties. Rachel waits 3 spots from the entrance, engine idling, window down. She peers over her reading glasses. How'd it go? I ease into the passenger seat. Every joint in my body sighs in relief. I don't have a family dinner to go to anymore. Rachel shifts into drive. You have physical therapy Monday. That's a beginning. I almost laugh. Almost. As we pull away, I glance back through the rear window. The VFW hall still glows. The banner, 40 Years of Love, remains visible behind the glass doors. The string lights cast their warm amber. The party continues, technically, but it no longer belongs to me. And for the first time, that feels exactly right. I drive away lighter than I felt in 10 years. The calls begin the next morning, Maureen's first. I let it ring to voicemail. She leaves a 2-minute message, half sobs, half accusations. You humiliated us. You humiliated your father. I hope you're proud of yourself. Then she phones Aunt Donna, Uncle Ray, every cousin and second cousin she can reach. The script is the same. Andine overreacted. Andine is unstable. Andine needs help. It doesn't land. Too many people were in that room. Too many saw me balanced on a reconstructed ankle while a stranger occupied my chair. Too many heard Gerald declare, "It's just a chair," and watched Maureen label me a pill addict with the bank statement lying open on the table. You can't rewrite a story 53 witnesses saw unfold. Aunt Donna calls at noon. Your mother phoned me in tears. I told her exactly what I'm telling you. She brought this on herself. Cousin Ellen texts, I'm sorry I didn't speak up more. I should have. Love you. Great Aunt Ruthie, who wields Facebook with the same precision and force she uses her cane, posts in the family group that evening. What I witnessed last night broke my heart, not because of what Andine did, but because of what was done to her. That girl deserved better from her parents. Shame on anyone who disagrees. 14 reactions in under an hour. All hearts. Gerald sends one text on Monday. Can we talk? I don't reply. Not yet. I'm not punishing him. I'm simply not ready. There's a difference. By Tuesday, 4 family members have reached out with direct support. 2 say they need space. 1 uninvites me from a May baptism. The corner stands empty now, and I'm no longer the one in it. The practical arithmetic is stark and unforgiving. Gerald's mill pension brings in $1,900 monthly. Maureen has no income. At $400 a month, my condo was a lifeline they never acknowledged. At market rate, $1,400, they cannot afford it, and I'm not renewing regardless. By mid-May, they secure a 1-bedroom apartment in Dunmore, 20 minutes farther from town. Smaller, older. The hallway carries the faint scent of carpet cleaner. Gerald hauls boxes in silence. Maureen, I'm told, weeps through the entire move. I'm not present for it. I'm not invited, and I don't inquire. Brent vanishes for 2 weeks after the party. His phone routes straight to voicemail. Tiffany, Ellen reports, ended things the following morning. She said she couldn't trust a single word he told her. Ellen adds, smart girl. No one in the family offers Brent's money anymore, not out of sudden hatred, but because they now understand exactly where it goes. Awareness is a powerful disinfectant. 3 weeks post-party, Gerald calls. Not a text, an actual call. His voice is low, stripped of the quiet authority he once wore like that monogrammed shirt. I made a mistake, Andine. I know, Dad. I should have told you. I should have asked. You should have. But a mistake is once. This was a system. Long pause. I hear his breathing. What do you need from me? $18,000. I'll accept a payment plan. $300 a month from your pension. 5 years. Agreed? And Dad, don't ever sign your name to my accounts again. Okay. It isn't forgiveness. It isn't reconciliation. It's a starting line. The first honest transaction between us in a decade. I'll take it. The physical therapy clinic on Grant Street has harsh fluorescent lights and the faint tang of rubbing alcohol. Nothing glamorous. But when Dr. Henley reviews my intake and says we can begin the full program next week, I nearly weep in the waiting room. I cover the first month with what remains in my personal savings, plus Gerald's initial $300 installment, deposited on time. I check twice. My ankle responds to therapy like parched soil drinks rain, slowly, then suddenly. By week 3, I bear partial weight without the boot. By week 6, the cane remains in the car. By week 8, the cane remains in the car. My business never falters. I secure a corporate retreat contract the week after the party, then a graduation dinner, then a small wedding in Scranton. Clients don't know my family story. They know the woman who arrives early, stays late, and ensures every napkin is folded precisely. Aunt Donna becomes the family I chose. She drives me to therapy on Tuesdays when my schedule tightens. Cousin Ellen drops by weekends with coffee and gloriously bad reality television. One afternoon, a letter arrived in my mailbox, handwritten, Maureen's familiar looping cursive on plain stationery. You broke our family. I hope someday you understand what you did. I read it once, fold it, and place it in the kitchen drawer alongside the old lease and the bank statement. I don't reply. My mother wrote that I broke the family, and honestly, part of me wondered, did I? Or did I simply stop holding together something that was already fractured? I think many of us carry that fear, the worry that drawing a boundary makes us the villain. Have you ever been told you were too much simply for protecting yourself? I'd really love to hear your story. Share it in the comments. I want to be honest about something. For 10 years, I convinced myself that giving was the same as loving, that if I paid enough, helped enough, showed up enough, eventually they'd see me, not as the planner, not as the fixer, not as the ATM, but simply as Andine. It never happened. And the reason is straightforward. I wasn't buying love. I was buying permission to exist in my own family. And that's a price no one should ever have to pay. I'm not sharing this to lecture you. I'm sharing it because I wish someone had told me sooner and said it louder. Generosity without boundaries isn't generosity. It's a transaction where one person pays and the other takes, and the one paying always empties first. My parents aren't monsters. I need to be clear on that. They are people who made choices, selfish, small, damaging choices, and constructed a system that functioned for everyone except the one holding it together. Gerald chose silence because it was easier than honesty. Maureen chose Brent's because admitting his failures would mean admitting her own. And I chose to keep writing checks because the alternative was standing in the silence and feeling the void. But here's what I finally understood. Standing in that corner, leaning on a crutch in a room I had paid for, the absence was already there. It had been there for years. I simply couldn't feel it because I was too busy filling it with money. Setting a boundary isn't selfish. It's the first truly honest thing I ever did for myself, not the cruelest, the most honest. I didn't walk away because I stopped loving them. I walked away because I started loving myself enough to stop standing in corners. And that was the beginning. 4 months later, my ankle is at 80%. I walked 2 miles yesterday without pain, the first time since the accident. I wore heels to a client meeting last Saturday. Low heels, but still heels. My physical therapist high-fived me, which in medical terms is the equivalent of a standing ovation. The condo is rented now. New tenants, a young couple, their first home together. They pay $1,400 on the first of every month and have never once asked me to cover their brother's gambling debts. Gerald has made 3 payments on time, each deposited quietly, no fanfare. We speak on the phone occasionally, short calls, 5 minutes, maybe 7. We don't mention Maureen. We don't mention Brent. We talk about the weather, the Phillies, whether the diner on Main Street changed their coffee blend. It isn't warm, but it's honest, and honest is more than I ever had before. Maureen hasn't reached out since the letter. Through Ellen, I hear she's adjusting to the Dunmore apartment, that she tells people I went through a difficult time. Her version of history will always diverge from mine. I've accepted that. Brent moved somewhere. Allentown, perhaps? No one's certain. No one's asking. Last Sunday, I organized a birthday party. Aunt Donna's 59th. Small, 20 guests, backyard barbecue, paper plates, Christmas lights strung between 2 oak trees. And at the head of the table, right in the center, there was a chair with my name on it. Not a place card, just Ellen grinning, patting the seat. Saved you a spot. I sat down. First one seated, last one to leave. Nobody asked me to move. Nobody suggested I'd be more comfortable somewhere else. The first party I planned where I actually got to sit at the table. If you're standing in someone's corner right now because they told you your comfort doesn't matter, that your pain isn't real enough, that your contribution isn't worth a seat at their table, hear this. The chair was never just a chair. It was a test. Every time they asked me to move, to shrink, to stand aside, they were testing whether I'd keep choosing them over myself. And for 10 years, I passed that test every single time. The night I failed it was the night I finally got it right. I'm not telling you to cut off your family. I'm not telling you to burn bridges or stage scenes at anniversary parties. Every situation carries its own gravity. Every family has its own rules. But I am telling you this. When your health, your finances, and your dignity are under attack, and the people attacking them are the ones who should protect you, a boundary isn't optional. It's survival. I don't carry anger anymore. I carry clarity. I know what I'm worth, and I know what I'm willing to pay. Those 2 numbers finally match. And for the record, my ankle is doing great. I wore proper heels last Saturday, 3-inch navy blue to match the dress I bought myself. They were spectacular. Thank you for staying with me through this story. If it meant something to you, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. I've linked another story in the description that I think you'll connect with. It's about someone who was told they owed their family everything until they discovered what their family really owed them. Go check it out. And remember, your peace is not negotiable. I'll see you in the next one.